Welcome everybody to another live stream, a midweek gold, silver, and Bitcoin chat that I'm going to try to do every week on Wednesday at 9 p.m. for those who can join the live stream. I'm currently testing this. Welcome everybody to another live stream. Sorry, that was well. My volume check. um, I'm gonna make the live streams, even though we have very few subscribers. I know it's going to grow gradually, and people may find this interesting to evaluate the sound money assets as they are progressing during the week. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it may be boring, it may not change that much, but this week obviously quite a lot of things are going on, so it's quite important to stay informed a bit of what's going on, even though I put a lot of emphasis on charts because charts reflect what buyers and sellers are doing, and that's the most important thing in terms of an asset. Trying to track down the latest news and who said what about gold, silver, or Bitcoin. It's quite difficult. Actually, it's not very effective. You're going to lose a lot of time if you do that. But the charts immediately reflect the sentiment of buyers and sellers in the market. So it's pretty useful, and that's why I go with the charts. I invest long terms once my thesis is set up, and we just take advantage when the market gives you opportunities and take profits when the markets go a little bit crazy in terms of explosiveness in price. So without further ado, let's start right away. Let's see how long we can prolong this live stream. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, depending on if I have questions or not, and depending on how long it takes me to do the different analysis of what has happened in the beginning of this week. So Monday, Tuesday, and today, April 8th, 2026. I try to put dates and report them as much as possible because sometimes YouTube, will send those videos out of order. So it's pretty important that you have a timestamp on that. As I say that, whatever I'm going to discuss today are my ideas. It's not financial advice. I'm not indicating to buy, sell any of the assets that will be discussed today. Please do your own research, consult specialists before investing in any of these assets. This is just educational and for entertainment purposes. That's pretty much it. I may indicate what I do, but it does not mean that you need to do it. My situation is not your situation. So this is our channel, Sound Money Investing, where we talk about gold, silver, and Bitcoin. For those who will join eventually in the live streams, if you have questions, you can join in the live chat. You put your questions in the chat. Once I finish my intro and what I want to cover in each of any of the live streams that I do, we can go over Q&A and answer questions about investing in general about gold, silver, or Bitcoin, or any asset that interests you, I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities. So let's start with a little bit of news. Yesterday night, there was a big deadline in terms of what's going on with the Middle East, and a somewhat ceasefire was achieved that triggered very, very violent price action. We will see it in the price of oil in a few minutes. But since then, the ceasefire was applied, but already not even 24 hours in, there's some violations already stated by both sides on the fact that the agreement was not respected. And the main thing that you need to know is the headline here in red: oil prices resume gains after Iran accuses US of breaching ceasefire deal. So the oil price is already recovering. During these next couple of weeks, it is very, very difficult to track what's going on, be in and out of assets. So have your conviction assets, stick with them, and avoid going back and forth in terms of I want to, I think oil is going to go up, or oil is going to go down, or gold is going to go up, gold is going to go down. There's going to be some price action here that doesn't make sense sometimes. It's going to be quite reactive to any kind of news that comes out in combination with what's going on in the Middle East. So I don't want to cover politics, but it influenced the markets, and that's why we need to talk about them. So let's go over here and look at the daily chart of oil. You see it here. And the big red bar that you see here was the correction that we saw yesterday. Well, actually, as soon as the news came out, the oil price tanked like 15% or something like that, between 10 and 15%. Quite a big correction, but now already the price of oil is up 1.2%. It's approaching $100. So already rebounding quite a bit, even though there was a ceasefire, and even though a few boats, I think, made it through the strait that is blocked. So there's a bunch of logistics here that you need to know. One thing that I learned is that many companies, owners of those boats, won't even go into the strait unless they have very strong guarantees that nothing will happen to those boats. So even though there's a ceasefire, even though they say it's safe to go through, many will double check, triple check before entering the passage. Therefore, it may take days and weeks before we start seeing boats going through the strait. So that's going to impact oil prices, the expectation of the market in terms of oil prices. And the ceasefire is just for 2 weeks. They said that they could extend it, but both parties need to agree to it. So it could be 2 weeks, and then 2 more weeks, and 2 more weeks, and so forth. But it's going to take a long time before anything goes back to normal. So just embrace volatility, have your assets, have your plan, and stick to your plan. As an investor, I'm getting distributions every single week. So I need to decide if I deploy them or not based on opportunities and future distributions that are announced in the assets that I'm using in within gold, silver, and Bitcoin. At this stage, it may be possible that one or few weeks there, I just keep the cash because it's too crazy and it's going to be very difficult to judge if it's a good time to enter or not. Um, I may wait for a bigger crash or something and then buy assets at better rebates. I'll have to see. But for now, there's a good possibility of very, very high volatility. And you, as an investor, need to decide what you're comfortable with, how much you can invest, and in which assets at what time. But for the upcoming weeks, keep in mind that it's going to be very, very tricky. Even professionals here right now have all kinds of trouble digesting the information and trying to see what the market will do in the upcoming week. So this is for oil. So we had a big correction and now we're already recovering and approaching $100 per barrel of oil. In terms of gold, we got a correction in terms of gold, but nothing really major. This uptrend, this bounce that we started on March 26th, it's still ongoing. The trend is resuming. Prices are around $4,700 per ounce of gold, and it's increasing. So far, it's been holding quite strong, and I'll have to decide this week, probably Friday, if I will add more to my gold position. I don't know yet. It will depend on distributions and what's going on at the market at that time. In my case, what is it? I usually buy on Wednesdays and buy on Fridays, depending, because I have two dates of distributions on a weekly basis for most of the assets, not all of them. Most of the assets, I have a few weekly. No, most of my ETFs that I invest in are weekly, but I also have a few monthly ETFs too. I don't have quarterly ETFs, so it's either monthly or weekly that I have distributions. And from time to time, also I add to my portfolio extra cash to invest and grow my positions. So I will have to decide. The next buy is this upcoming Friday. In terms of silver, very similar to gold. It's still rebounding. Yes, we corrected a little bit 2 days ago, yesterday too, but we held strong. The chart is still intact, and we could resume from here. Again, it's a very volatile period in the markets, so don't be surprised if we get a sell-off. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, Friday, or next Monday. If people tell you what's going to happen, your guess or their guess is as good as yours. So nobody predicts the future. In my case, I remain bullish in terms of gold, bullish in terms of silver, not financial advice, because eventually, especially if oil stays high, the Fed will have to print. If there's print, there's debasement. If there's debasement, all hard assets will eventually go up, and that means gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And that's our channel. So you will hear me repeat this over and over again, but that thesis is my long-term thesis. And unless governments start to really restrict spending and really be responsible in terms of yearly budgets and things like that, I don't see any government respect or do some kind of a really harsh control of their expenses anytime soon. Therefore, hard assets, sound money will prevail eventually. That's the big picture. So any big dip or big correction, I will treat it as a buying opportunity. So that's the status for silver. And now let's have a look at Bitcoin, who pushed up quite a bit above $70,000. I think it touched even $71,000 yesterday. Now it's trading below 71,000 at $7,600, correcting a little bit. Yeah, in terms of Bitcoin, if I compare it to previous regions in the bear market from the previous two bear markets, I'm expecting still another correction in terms of Bitcoin before October of 2026. So we have 6 months from now until October of 2026. And I expect that we will be lower than the bottom here, which was really near $60,000. I'm expecting the price of Bitcoin to go lower. It could go as low as 45,000, in an extreme 50,000, something like that. That's what I'm expecting. And that's why I'm currently preparing a video that you will see, because I positioned myself to short Bitcoin with ETFs. Again, it's not financial advice, but I believe that the bottom of the Bitcoin price in the bear market will happen around October of 2026. Therefore, from here up until October 2026, either we trade sideways and we don't correct, but I think there's a very high possibility, more than 50%, on a final correction up around $50,000 in terms of Bitcoin. I may be wrong in that, but because it's the bear market, I plan to play the bear market until the end. So we started the bear market in October 2025, sorry. I expect it to finish in October 2026. Therefore, if I have that theory that Bitcoin goes down 1 year and up 3 years in the 4-year cycle, I should be short Bitcoin up until October of 2026. You will see what ETFs I am using to do this shorting of Bitcoin. Again, it's not an advice. I'm just stating what I'm doing because I have a thesis on the 4-year cycle. Look in the description in the channel Sound Money Investing. If you go to videos, this video here, 183 days to go, it's my thesis on how I get to a bottom on the 6th of October 2026. That's my projection, and you see in this video how I get to that date and that we have 183 days to go. Therefore, I'm going to short until then, and when I'm on the 6th of October 2026, I will do the opposite, meaning that I will shift at least 50% of my position of shorts in long positions for Bitcoin for the next 3 years. And then gradually every week, I will switch the remaining 50% of my position week by week to average in and enter my long position of Bitcoin for the next 3 years and hold those positions for that amount of period. At that time, I will tell you guys when I expect the top to be for that cycle, the number of days it entails, and also the ETFs that I plan to use for that period to ride the Bitcoin bull market up until whatever price it goes. I won't give any price targets because they are, like I indicated, guesses. It's nothing really that it can defend in terms of theory, calculations, or things like that that could explain these bottoms. So here, when I say that I expect another correction for Bitcoin, I expect it. I have no idea how low it will go, but based on previous cycles, that's what Bitcoin has done every 4 years for the last 8 years. So if it does it again this year, it would be 3 times approximately at the same time in a 12-year window. If that happens, it starts to be less random and way more reflected of the 4-year cycle. So that's how I'm playing it. Will react accordingly if Bitcoin jumps really, really strongly and I see that I'm potentially wrong, then I could change my short position into longs, but I do not expect to do that right now. I know it's difficult to take stand like that when Bitcoin is rebounding or going up, but I'm actually shooting myself in the foot here because I knew that in October here of 2025, we potentially were at the top. And if I had done what I had planned to do was to short Bitcoin at the time, I would have gone all this price action with ETFs in short Bitcoin in those ETFs, and I would have gained quite a lot in terms of growth in my portfolio. I knew the theory, I knew when it would happen, but I didn't execute. And from now on, until the 4-year cycles stop working, I'm going to use them and extract as much value from the 4-year cycle data that we have. And now we are in a bear market. It should end around October 2026. Therefore, the logic thing to do is short Bitcoin with the tools that we have. And that's what I'm doing currently. I have that set up right now. And those ETFs pay weekly dividends. So I'm collecting weekly dividends and protecting my portfolio, meaning that if it goes lower, those ETFs will go up in price. So that's how you play those, the inverse of what Bitcoin is doing. And every distribution, then I will decide what to do, either reinvest in those ETFs or put it in gold, put it in silver, depending on what's going on, or other assets. But I'm also quite bearish in terms of the stock market. So most probably, either I reinvest in the inverse ETFs, either I invest in gold or silver, or I park my money in STRC, which is a preferred stock from Strategy, where I get, I think it's 11.5% dividend per month. Um, and it's a good way to park money, especially in periods of uncertainty or when Bitcoin, for example, is correcting. If I don't want to invest in more short ETFs, I can park my money there up until October of 2026 and collect, for example, dividends in April, May, June, July, August. So that would be 5 months, which is approximately close to 1% per month. So I could get those monthly distributions added to my cash position and then deploy it in October of 2026. These are my options. I am not investing in the stock market right now because of the uncertainty that we are facing. So either short ETFs related to Bitcoin, silver, gold, or cash with STRC. So this is, it's almost half an hour now. This covers what I wanted to give you guys today as an update. Quite a lot of volatility, expect a lot of volatility, expect a lot of weird back and forth between the US and Iran. You didn't respect this ceasefire on, off, on, off, on, off, and markets going up and down, up and down, and up and down. So I'm expecting that for the upcoming month at least. Be ready, keep your calm, and stay the course. Have your plan on your assets and stay calm. If you're not sure that you want to reinvest anything, keep your money there, accumulate cash in case we get a big correction. And if we get a big correction, then you need to have your list of favorite assets where you want to purchase them at a discount and then let them recover and you will be fine on the other side. So that's what I'm planning for myself. I think in terms of Bitcoin, up until October, it's going to either go sideways or go down. So don't be too bullish in terms of Bitcoin. But eventually, after the summer in October, we will start to see crazy, crazy price action, in my opinion. By the end of the year, we could recover quite quickly, maybe, in terms of price per Bitcoin. And I'm very, very excited to know how high we will go in this upcoming 3 years of bull market for Bitcoin. So we don't have any questions in the chat. I will end the chat here. Thank you again for listening and see you all. The next live chat will be on Saturday, next Saturday, and there's going to be another on Sunday. But keep in mind that I will try to post that video tomorrow morning about how I'm planning to short Bitcoin and what ETFs I am using to do so until October of 2026. Have a nice evening, everybody. From the Sound Money Investing channel, happy evening and see you all next Saturday on our next live stream. Ciao, ciao.